¿Aló? ¿Malcolm? Antes del inicio de esta ceremonia, queremos pedirles que apaguen sus celulares u otros dispositivos que puedan interrumpir su desarrollo. Por favor. ¿Está apagado el micrófono, cierto? Muy bien. ¿Pero me escucharon atrás? El problema es que si no se escucha el micrófono, no sale por el streaming. Y eso no es tan bueno. Esperemos un cachito, por favor. Llámalo en mi teléfono. Ahí sí. Señoras y señores, muy buenas tardes. El programa de genética humana del Instituto de Ciencias Biomédicas de la Facultad de Medicina. El proyecto de telemedicina SIM-HCUCH. La dirección académica del Hospital Clínico y el Centro de Informática Médica y Telemedicina, todos organismos de la Universidad de Chile, les dan una cordial bienvenida a todos a la conferencia Detectives de la Información Genómica, Diálogos entre Diagnóstico e Investigación. Para comenzar, recibiremos el saludo de la doctora Patricia Gómez, directora académica del Hospital Clínico de la Universidad de Chile y directora ejecutiva del proyecto Telemedicina.
Gracias. Muy buenos días a todos. Como directora académica del hospital, me es muy grato poder ver cómo en los últimos años se han ido afiatando las relaciones académicas entre nuestro hospital clínico y su facultad de medicina. No cabe duda que si queremos seguir desarrollándonos desde el punto de vista científico, crear nexos se convierte en un tema fundamental. Las charlas que escucharemos esta mañana son un ejemplo de lo anterior. Me gustaría destacar el activo y crucial rol que en esta oportunidad han jugado la doctora Leonor Bustamante del ICBM con el Centro de Informática Médica de la Facultad, la Dirección Académica del Hospital y el equipo de telemedicina del hospital. La unión hace la fuerza. Esto es muy cierto y válido, y no solamente a nivel de nuestra universidad. Es necesario también generar lazos y nexos con otras universidades, tanto a nivel nacional como internacional. Poder mirar los problemas existentes o emergentes desde múltiples ángulos, integrando diversas disciplinas, las ciencias básicas y la clínica, y recogiendo experiencias vividas por expertos de diferentes partes del mundo, se ha convertido hoy en un requisito sine qua non para poder seguir construyendo conocimiento relevante. Trabajar de manera colaborativa y holística hoy día, en verdad, es una necesidad. Por esta razón, quiero agradecer muy especialmente la participación de la doctora Christine Klein, de la Universidad de Lübeck, del doctor Marcelo Kaufmann, de la Universidad de Buenos Aires, y reiterar mi reconocimiento a la doctora Leonor Bustamante, quien ha sido el motor para la generación de estos interesantes diálogos entre la genómica y la clínica a los que podemos acceder hoy y que permitirán pensar en la posibilidad de ofrecer el día de mañana a nuestros pacientes una medicina personalizada. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, doctora Gómez. Esta actividad se enmarca en una visita académica que fue auspiciada por la Sociedad Chilena de Neurología, Neuropsiquiatría y Neurocirugía, la Fundación CEMPAR y Fundación DIAGNÓSTICO. La doctora María Leonor Bustamante, motor de esta actividad, quien es profesora asistente del programa de genética humana del Instituto de Ciencias Biomédicas, nos hará una introducción sobre el contexto de este encuentro.
Gracias, Loreto. Gracias también la parte instrumental de que pueda estar ocurriendo esta visita hoy día. Básicamente contarles algo muy general. Esta visita fue organizada por un grupo de personas que hemos estado trabajando en los últimos meses en avanzar la medicina genómica para ponerla a disposición de los pacientes en Chile. Y nos hemos ido dando cuenta que esto no es posible si no se dispone de mayor conocimiento y manejo entre la comunidad biomédica y entre distintos actores de la comunidad biomédica. Entonces mañana nuestros speakers van a estar dando un curso destinado específicamente hacia neurólogos, específicamente que tratan trastornos del movimiento. El día miércoles y jueves van a estar acá con profesionales que tienen ya un entrenamiento en ciencias informáticas para que adquieran más herramientas de análisis genómico. Y hoy día quisimos hacer esta conferencia más amplia hacia la comunidad de la Facultad de Medicina para conocer en términos amplios qué es lo que significa la medicina genómica y cómo hacerla realidad. Eso es lo que esperamos que con esta visita sea un paso más en poder poner la medicina genómica a disposición de nuestros pacientes. Por eso creo que los dejo con Loreto, que les va a presentar a nuestra primera invitada.
Bueno, la primera charla de hoy, titulada Deciphering Mechanisms of Endogenous Disease Protection, está a cargo de la doctora Christine Klein. Ella es directora del Instituto de Neurogenética y de la sección de trastornos del movimiento en el Departamento de Neurología de la Universidad de Lübeck. Desde el año 2019 es la presidenta de la Sociedad Alemana de Neurología. Posee un extenso registro de publicaciones con más de 400 artículos en revistas de alto impacto y una vasta actividad científica enfocada especialmente en la enfermedad de Parkinson y distonía. Doctora Klein. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction, and I have to apologize that I speak no Spanish and understand very little, but it's my absolutely great pleasure and honor to be here today, and I would like to specifically thank Professor Randa for inviting me, and for all of you that are here today, and for the director of the hospital, and all of you distinguished guests and audience. It's a real pleasure to be here, and it's a particular pleasure, and I will explain that to you, because my late uncle, lived in Chile for 20 years, and he worked here as a marine biologist, and he loved the country so much that he said he would never come back to Germany again. And so my family still hopes that I'm coming back, but so it's for me particularly special to be here in this country that I have been wanting to visit for many, many years. So thank you for having me. And I would like to talk to you today about some topic that is very close to my heart, because I think it's something very positive. And that is deciphering the mechanisms of endogenous disease protection. And I will try to explain the concept to you in the next few slides. And I hope that you will share my enthusiasm, and that perhaps we can establish some collaborations to further understand this endogenous disease protection mechanism. And it's also often referred to as reduced penetrance. So what is the reduced penetrance? It means that a confirmed pathogenic mutation, you carry it, or a patient carries it, but never develops the disease, although the mutation is present. And another concept of this could also be that the disease is developing only very late in life, and we'll come to this in two examples later. And so I think it's an incredibly interesting and important topic to understand what the patients, or the mutation carriers, I should say, do differently, the ones that don't get the disease, than the ones that will be afflicted with the disease. And so this is a little girl whom I saw, whom I saw 20 years ago when I came back from the United States from a postdoctoral fellowship, and she has myoclonus dystonia, which is a condition that is characterized by the myoclonic jerks that you can see here, and also by the dystonic posturing when she draws, or when she tries to drink from a glass. And this is a condition that has reduced penetrance. And in this condition, we understand very well why only certain mutation carriers develop the disease and others don't. And this was actually the work of my very first PhD student. So she found that the gene that is involved in this condition, the epsilon sarcoglycan gene, is indeed imprinted. So in the maternal allele of the gene, and this is true for all of us here, we all have 2 copies of the gene, but only our paternal copy is being expressed, and the maternal copy is being imprinted. So we all work only with the paternal copy. And this will become very interesting and very important, and you can already imagine how this explains reduced penetrance. And what I also wanted to point out is that studying disease risk, and I think most of us concentrate on studying disease risk factors or disease causation. That's what most of us spend time on. But we don't pay, I think, enough attention to what keeps us healthy, what keeps us, what are the protective mechanisms. And I think this is obviously the same coin, 2 sides of the same coin that are involved. On the other hand, when you want to understand what protects you, you also have to look in healthy populations and not just in patients. And I think this makes this approach a bit different. So this is what I would like to go over in the next 3/4 of an hour. And I would first of all like to try and share with you the concept, or what I think is the concept of reduced penetrance. And then what is the translational impact of this? What are genetic modifiers that we already understand? What can human studies look like to understand this protection better? And what may be models, for example, animal models that we can employ? And then, of course, what are the future directions? So let's start with the concept. Okay. So I think that there are many facets to reduced penetrance, and it's not the black and white all or none phenomenon that is sometimes portrayed as, and as we can read it in the textbooks. But the more we study it, the more we understand that it's really more complex. However, the case of epsilon sarcoglycan and myoclonic dystonia that I explained before, and that where I showed you the little girl, is a very good example of the black and white. So let's look at this pedigree here. If you look at the 2nd generation, there is a female affected, and then there is 3 generations where nobody is affected of her offspring. And only in the 5th generation there is a girl now being affected. And if you look at this, you can see that the mutated allele was always transmitted from a female to the next female. Here, the female from a female to a female. Now from a female to a male, still he doesn't manifest the disease because he gets the imprinted allele from his mother. But now, where the father, when he becomes a father, and he transmits, unfortunately, the mutated allele to his daughter, you can see here now the paternal allele is being expressed because that's not imprinted, and this is why the little girl now is affected. So this is a very nice epigenetic explanation of reduced penetrance. Penetrance is often also age-dependent. So, and this is a very important concept because, for example, if we all lived to 100 to 200 years, we might manifest certain diseases that we just never manifest because we die, let's say, at the age of 85. So let's look at this. So this is now Parkinson's, and this is 2 brothers carrying Parkin mutation. And they both have actually relatively similar phenotype. However, the brother on the left developed the disease at the age of 32, and the brother on the right only at the age of 58. And that's obviously a big difference in phenotypic expression and in disease manifestation. Although they share on average half of their genome, and they also share the same environment. They both grew up in a very small village in the South Tyrolean Alps. Also, even when it comes to dominant disease, or especially when it comes to dominant diseases, we see a lot of reduced penetrance. In recessive diseases, we see typically high penetrance, but still the difference is in age of onset. With dominant diseases, such as the 2 mutation carriers, for example, we see a lot of reduced penetrance, and I'll get back to that as well. And it's interesting, as you may know, the LRT2 gene causes Parkinson's, when it's mutated, can cause Parkinson's disease, and it's in fact the most common mutation that we know as a cause of Parkinson's disease. And the most common mutation is the G2019S mutation, and that's present in different populations across the world, and I'm sure it's found here in Chile as well. And you can see, however, and that's very interesting, although this broader population of patients and this Norwegian population carry this exact same mutation, they have a very different age of onset. So if you put a line here, or draw a line at the age of 60, you will see that by the age of 60, only about 20% of the Norwegians are affected. All of the others are still healthy. Whereas in the Arab borders, about 60% at the age of 60 are already affected. And this is, I think, very interesting because it suggests they carry the same mutation, but it suggests that there must be other genetic or non-genetic, maybe environmental factors that account for this big difference. And I think it makes a huge difference if you develop, what you see here is a huge difference between the 20% and the 50%. And then the last facet that I would like to share with you has to do with variable expressivity. And I really think that there is a continuum between the variable expressivity and the reduced penetrance. That really is very difficult to really tell us apart completely, because there can be subtle or endophenotypes, as we call them. And I would like to show you this lady here. She's a young woman who came to our clinic with a question of whether anything is wrong with her. So what do you think? Is anything wrong? No, there's nothing wrong. She's very happy, very healthy. She's a policewoman. She's a very active young lady. Why did she come to us? She knows that she carries a LER2 mutation, and her father has the same mutation and is affected with Parkinson's disease. So she wanted to know, is anything wrong? We assured her nothing is wrong. We did perform, however, a transcranial ultrasound. And I don't know if you do this here in the clinic, but we do this quite regularly, where you use just an ultrasound probe and you can see the brainstem. And in Parkinson's patients, you typically have in the area of the midbrain where the substantia nigra is, you have a hyperechogenicity, which is found not exclusively, but predominantly in patients and very rarely in controls. And so we did this in her, and let me show you the result. So this is this ultrasound image, and I have encircled the brainstem, although this is a bit off. And if you look now without the so there is a very bright spot inside the red circle, and it shouldn't be there. So this is really as big as it gets. Even in affected Parkinson's patients, we don't see this big hyperechogenicity typically. So we're thinking that something may already be going on in her brain. We don't know whether she will ever manifest Parkinson's disease, but there may be compensatory mechanisms, because something must be the case already, compensatory mechanisms at play that keep her so healthy clinically at the moment. So what are the mechanisms underlying reduced penetrance? So there are many that we can envision, and I have listed some here. So the mutation type may play a role. There will be modifier genes, and I will show you examples of that. There could be different expression levels of the genes that we have. There can be epigenetic modifiers, and we have seen the example of imprinting. The environment, I'm sure, will play a big role. It's just so hard to study. With genes, it's easy. So nowadays, as you know, we can do the full genome, and we have all the information that we need. But for the environmentome, we can't do that. We only look at, who smokes and who drinks coffee. And that may be not enough, obviously. And then there are these important intrinsic factors, such as age and gender. Okay, so let's turn to the translational impact. And with this, I will return to the little girl that you saw at the very beginning when she was 4, and now she's in her early 20s, and she still has the myoclonic dystonia. It's not so bad in this video because we gave her a little bit of alcohol. This was all covered by the ethics committee. As you may or may not know, myoclonic dystonia responds very well to alcohol, and we were interested in studying our patients with and without alcohol and how this affects the brain. So why am I showing this again? Because now it's becoming very important to her. How about her life? How about her family planning? How about her career planning? And so I can tell her now, and she understands the disease and the genetics behind it very well. She even wrote an essay on this at school. And so I can tell her that, even though she may transmit the mutated allele to her children, they will remain healthy. Even if it's a boy or a girl, doesn't matter, they may inherit 20 or 50% risk. They may inherit the gene, the mutation, but they will remain healthy because they get it from their mother and it will be imprinted. So this is very important information for her, that her children most likely, very, very likely, will be healthy. Of course, with the risk in subsequent generations, if it's transmitted from a son, then it could reappear. So let's now look at the genetic modifiers that we already know. And before we're looking at the genetic modifiers, I wanted to draw you a scheme of penetrance of different mutations in different genes. And I have plotted it as on the y-axis as the penetrance in percent, and on the x-axis you see the frequency of the different mutations. And so purple and pink 1 mutations in the homozygous or biallelic mutations state are very rare, but they have a very high penetrance. And this is also true for the TAF1 gene mutations that are X-linked. This is 2 examples of heterozygous conditions. And this is the 2 OBPS35 mutations also causing Parkinson's disease. They're heterozygous, and as I mentioned before, anyway, penetrance is always much more reduced in the dominant conditions as compared to the recessive ones. And these are already more common, as you can see. And then this is a selection of dystonia genes, causing they're all inherited, as you can see, in a dominant fashion. They all have reduced penetrance. And then, what is very interesting, you will find here heterozygous mutations in recessive genes that should cause the disease only when they're inherited with 2 mutations coming together. However, this is true for purple and pink 1 and also for GBA, glucocerebrosidase. If you have a heterozygous mutation, so just 1, you seem to be at a higher risk to develop Parkinson's disease. It doesn't cause it, but it elevates your risk. And these heterozygous mutations, of course, are a lot more common than the homozygous ones. And I will talk about these 3 examples in the following and give you just some background and some also unpublished data on genetic modifiers in these 2. Okay, so in other words, what are the genetic mutations you want? And I really like the cover of this PNAS journal that was published 3 years ago, where, you can carry a little DNA as an umbrella that will protect you not just against rain, but also against perhaps the effect of mutation. And so let's start with a disease that I'm sure you're familiar with. It was one of the first genetic conditions to be found by Larry Helios and Denver Berkfield in the US, and they deciphered the genetic origin of TOR1A dystonia, or is also known as DYT1 dystonia. And this dystonia was described by Hermann Oppenheim in 1911, and this is him on the left, and he was one of the founders of the German Neurological Society. And also he was very special, and I like to mention this because he fought very fiercely against the notion that dystonia is a form of hysteria. This is what Charcot felt, that this is not an organic disease, and he said, no, it is an organic disease. And he even said that hereditary burden seems to play a major role. And I've taken this from his original article, and we have, Professor Fawn and I have translated this paper in 2013 into the English language. And if you're interested, I really recommend reading it because it's a fascinating paper, how he tried to prove that indeed dystonia is an organic condition, and all the different tests and ideas that he had, how he could prove that. Very, very exciting. And so, as you know, the gene was found. It was actually found in 1997, and it was found to be a 3 base pair deletion in the TOR1A gene, and the penetrance is reduced. It's reduced to 35% in a patient in an average patient population. However, if on the other allele you carry a polymorphism, so in trans with a mutation, then, and you have this in combination, then your penetrance goes down to 3%. So I think this is one of the most striking genetic modifiers that has been found that really protects you against manifesting DYT1 dystonia. There are 2 papers that have shown this. Surprisingly, no other studies have really followed up on this. There's one French paper that just did not find the polymorphism, and some people quote this as a paper that refuted this, but that's not true. They just didn't have any carrier of this polymorphism. So I think this is a very important and interesting finding, and it should be followed up on in these patients and perhaps used for genetic counseling as well. This is another very interesting and important disorder, which is actually rare. It's a condition that occurs in the Philippines, and all of the carriers of this TAF1 mutation come from the island of Panay. And this is a highly penetrant disease. It's X-linked. However, there is a huge variability in age of onset and in disease expressivity. And we have been studying this and found some very interesting modifiers that could be interesting not just for this rare condition, but also for other genetic diseases. So let me first show you a patient. So this is a patient showing the dystonia and the Parkinsonism combined. So he has resting tremor in the right hand, but he also has dystonic features and also some bradykinesia. So it really is a combination of dystonia and Parkinsonism as the disease is also called. And we had 16 of these patients come to Germany, to Lübeck, for deep brain stimulation because this is the best treatment currently available. And we were able to provide this to 16 patients, and we had them and their caregivers visit us, and we were able to really operate on all of them, and all of them responded very well. And so what was interesting, and this was found by the group in Boston, is that within the mutation that these patients carry, so the mutation in this case is an insertion of a retrotransposon element, and they found that within this insertion, on top of that, they have a hexanucleotide repeat. And this was a very, very exciting finding. And really, one could even say that X-linked dystonia Parkinsonism belongs into the big group of repeat expansion disorders. And when you look here, there's a very strong correlation between age of onset and number of repeats. And as you may guess, the longer the repeat, the earlier the age of onset. And we were able to show this and confirm this in 300 patients. So there's really a strong correlation. And this correlation is even present when you look in a smaller group, in the small group of the 16 patients that I told you about, and when we perform, for example, cognitive testing and some other more detailed phenotypic analysis beyond age of onset, we can see a very strong correlation, even in a very small group, with the repeat size. So that's very exciting. So next we became very interested in what does this look like in the brain. And we had available 2 brains from patients that had disease. So is this different, the repeat size, in brain and in blood? And could this explain some of the penetrance or the variability of the expressivity? And so we performed small molecule PCR analysis where we really try to capture individual molecules. And you can also do single-cell sequencing, of course, but we did this, relatively simple and so, well-working method. And you can see here, this is what we found in blood from one of the individuals. These are different, basically, single-cell or small pure PCRs. And so you can see that the repeat number is relatively stable in blood. However, when it comes to brain, you see that we have a lot of variability here. So showing that there's somatic mosaicism in brain, in the tissue that is most affected in these patients. Not only that, but it is interesting to note that in both individuals, this is now this one and this is the other individual where we have even more brain regions available, you can see that the number of repeats increases in brain compared to blood. So we have longer repeat sizes in brain, potentially similar to Huntington's disease, by the way, perhaps explaining not only why this is a brain disease, but also why certain people, depending on the repeat size, are earlier or more strongly or more severely affected than others that have smaller repeat sizes. And this is now my most recent data. This is completely new and unpublished. And we performed, I should say that this repeat expansion explains about 50% of the variability of age of onset. So 50% remained unexplained. So we were interested in trying to find out, what explains the rest. And so what we did, we performed a genome-wide association study using age of onset. And so we had a group of almost 350 patients, all unrelated. And this is a fantastic collaboration with our colleagues in the Philippines. And we performed a GWAS. And now you would probably say, if GWAS in 350 people, you're not going to find anything. GWASs typically have, nowadays they have tens of thousands of patients, right? Sometimes for Parkinson's, there's a new GWAS with almost 100,000 patients. But to our delight and to our surprise, we found very strong evidence here on 2 chromosomes. This is the red line represents genome-wide significance, 10 to the -8. And so we found very strong signals in 2 chromosomes. And I cannot yet disclose the actual genes, but it turns out that these are very, very biologically very relevant genes that can explain very beautifully why these people may have, for example, an early age of onset. And of course, when we performed this analysis, we corrected for the repeat number and really have found an independent genetic modifier. let me turn to Parkinson's disease. I'll come back to Parkinson's disease. Two conditions that we study a lot in UBEC are Parkin and PINK1-related Parkinson's disease, and you may know that they're caused by genes, PINK1 and Parkin, that are both involved in mitochondrial function or dysfunction if they're mutated. And first of all, what we did, we were interested in finding out whether the mitochondrial genome could look different in carriers of mutations versus those that are non-carriers. And so that was our first experiment. So we performed next-generation sequencing, very deep sequencing of the mitochondrial genome in carriers of Parkin and PINK1 mutations. And the sequencing was at 10,000 hex, so very, very deep sequencing. And so we compared here the number of mitochondrial variations in controls versus PINK1 heterozygous mutation carriers. Remember, these are the ones that can be at risk. And homozygous mutation carriers. And we found this nice stepwise increase in the number of mitochondrial DNA mutations. So it seems like probably the underlying somatic mutation triggers a larger amount, a larger number of mitochondrial mutations. And then, of course, we were interested in whether this could have an impact on penetrance. And for this, we looked at a group here of PINK1 and Parkin mutation carriers, heterozygous, all heterozygous, so these are the at-risk people who do not have Parkinsonism. So these people are all unaffected. They have a heterozygous Parkin or PINK1 mutations but are unaffected. And we compared this to a group of heterozygous Parkin and PINK1 mutation carriers who are affected. And indeed, and this is what we were hypothesizing, indeed we find a higher mutational load in the affected patients' mutation carriers than in the non-affected ones, again suggesting that this could be a modifier of penetrance, and we have a very beautiful area under the curve of 0.93. Also, still in the realm of Parkin and PINK1 associated Parkinsonism, you may have seen that there was a paper just a few months ago in Nature that showed a very nice link between Parkin and PINK1 mutations and inflammation. And this is the data from mice, and this was generated in Richard Yule's lab, who then kindly asked us to collaborate with him. And so what you see here is as markers of inflammation, interferon beta 1 and IL-6, interleukin 6, in these mice, and the mice only get this elevation of interleukins or of inflammatory cytokines when you exercise them. And so this is what's been done here. So after this exercise, both the Parkin and the PINK1 mice, blue and orange, directly after the trial and also 24 hours later, have this high elevation of cytokines, both this interferon beta and also IL-6. And what was very interesting, I asked him then, can you look in your heterozygous mice also? I'd be very interested in whether the heterozygous mice have that as well. And yes, they do. To a lower extent, that's still very significant. They also have elevated cytokines. And we performed a pilot study in humans and also showed that they had elevated cytokines. And we followed up on this now. And this is the latest data. This is also unpublished. So we looked in a larger cohort from Germany in patients with 2 mutations, in patients with just 1 mutation and Parkinson's disease present, in patients in carriers of a single heterozygous mutation and no signs of Parkinsonism compared to healthy controls. And you can see again that we have a nice stepwise and quite highly significant change in the, or stepwise continuum, if you will, in the levels of interleukin 6. So again, suggesting that also, however this exactly works, that inflammation is also playing a modifying role of penetrance and of disease manifestation. And this was then also confirmed in a completely independent cohort from Italy. So that takes me to the human studies, and I would like to start again by showing you a carrier of a TAF1 mutation. So this is one of the Filipino carriers. He's not yet a patient because he is asymptomatic, but I would like to share with you first of all his clinical phenotype. And so when he walks, he is perfectly normal, I think. And also when he sits and talks, and he's also a very happy very nice person. He has been taking part in our studies a number of times, and he actually lives in Austria, so it's very easy for him to come, and he's very eager to participate in science. And when you ask him, however, to wiggle his tongue from left to right quickly, he's not able to do that very well, so this is not normal. And also when you look at his hand, there's a slight tremor of the fourth finger. I don't know if you can see this very well, but a little bit also of the second finger. So there are some very, very, very subtle signs of clinical examination, different from the young lady, the policewoman that I showed you before, where we could find absolutely nothing. And now we performed some human studies in this individual and also in some other patients with TAF1 mutations from the Philippines. All of the patients that came for deep brain stimulation, they also kindly participated in neuroimaging studies. And so this is now an N of 1. So I'm really showing you the results from this one asymptomatic mutation carrier where we just saw the video. And let me show you. So what is interesting in I think Parkinsonism, it's a degenerative disease, in a way similar to Huntington. And it results in degeneration of the putamen. And it starts in the anteromedial putamen, here in this area. And then only in late stages of the disease, the dorsolateral putamen will also be involved. And this is now early stage. So here you see controls. They have normal voxel intensity. This is a patient group. They're obviously affected, so they have reduced voxel intensity. And this is here our asymptomatic mutation carrier, who falls in between, if you will, the patient and the controls for the anteromedial putamen degeneration. So he already on imaging has signs of degeneration of his anteromedial putamen. However, when it comes to the late stage, you see here are the controls and here are the patients. He falls completely with the controls. So he has no indication whatsoever of dorsolateral putamen degeneration, so he's still in this very, very early stage, in keeping with what we see clinically. And why is this so important? Because I think it would be ideal if in the future we were able to identify exactly where people stand in their clinical course. Because if treatments, for example, become available that can maybe modify the course of the disease, it would be very important to see where people stand, especially when they're clinically still asymptomatic and unaffected, so that we know who may perhaps be at a stage where we could, if we had it available, where we could initiate treatment. And this is one of the oldest studies, or first studies, where we started looking into this. This is from a family with Parkin mutation carriers, 2 brothers that you saw initially. From this family, we also brought them to Lübeck and to Cologne and performed PET studies. This is from 2001, so really old work. But it was interesting and suggested for the first time that in the asymptomatic heterozygous mutation carriers, something was already going on. This is the PET study, and you can see that ocular data uptake, for example, here is not normal. Not exactly like in the controls. Of course, it's much better than in the patients, in the homozygous mutation carriers or in the idiopathic Parkinson's patients, but something is going on that is already detectable on neuroimaging in this pre-symptomatic state. And now I'm coming to another interesting family with PINK1 mutations, and this is a heterozygous carrier, and I saw him in 2007. I'll try one more time, otherwise you'll have to take my word for it. Doesn't work. So he has reduced arm swing on the right. And to an extent that I would have predicted that within the next few years he would develop Parkinson's. And this is him again, hopefully this works. So now 12 years later, we just saw him again in clinic, and he's still, and I think this is quite obvious, he still does not swing his right arm. What you may also appreciate, he gained a lot of weight and he has a problem with his knees. But otherwise, he is really not different from 12 years ago at all. And when you look at his clinic pattern, he's doing very, very well. And I would have predicted 12 years ago he's not going to be like this. So I think this is also a very important message that we really have to follow our patients longitudinally to really see what happens with them. Because perhaps not everybody even goes on to develop Parkinson's, and people like him who look like they might in the next few years really maybe they have some interesting compensatory mechanisms at play that we can understand and then perhaps use to help those that go on to have a more aggressive disease course. And still, I think it's not normal not to swing you right after all. Okay, so let's now turn to a very interesting family. And this is now work that was conducted here in Chile and in collaboration with Mr. Davis, who is in the audience, which is really a tremendous pleasure. And so, as you may have heard, there is a condition, a Parkinson's type of Parkinson's disease, atypical Parkinsonism, that was first described in 1994 in Jordan, actually, and then it was mapped to chromosome 1, and in 2005 again described, and then in 2006, Alfredo Ramirez here from Chile found the mutation in the Chilean pedigree and identified the ATP13A2 gene. And this is the case report of one of the 4 affected patients in the family who is still alive. We just talked about this, and he had early normal development. And then at the age of 12 already, his performance in school started to decline. And then at the age of 22, he developed signs of Parkinsonism, quite severe Parkinsonism in fact. And then at the age of 35, he had a very slurred speech and also spastic signs, and also cognitive problems here with an MRSD of 19 out of 30, so he was demented. When he visited Lübeck in 2008, he was not able to speak anymore, and also today he is not able, but he's still alive. So this is from a paper that Dr. Behr published in 2010, in which first his sister, his elder sister, with ATP13A2 mutation. She was extremely ill, as you can see here, wasted, and passed away shortly, I think, after this video was taken. She has also some specificity here. And this is the still living patient. He's here actually now in Lübeck, and you can see that he's very paralytic and he has signs of this condition. And we were again interested in autism. And we were interested again in studying also the heterozygous carriers of this family. It's a very large family. This mother who now also passed away 2 years ago, she had 17 children of her own, and then she adopted an 18th child, which I found incredibly impressive. And she came to visit us in Lübeck and years ago in 2008 with, I think, 7 of her children, including the affected son. And so we had several heterozygous mutation carriers. This is us here at the beach. Believe it or not, there are beaches even in Germany, so we had some fun, although I think it was colder than very typically here at the summer. So we performed also again some imaging studies. And first of all, this is our affected patient here who has quite severe atrophy of the brain, and also upon SPECT you can see that he is quite, you can see, that his basic area are severely, and his suppression area are severely affected. And this is his mother, and at the time she was 79 years old, and also had some signs of Parkinsonism and also of dysphonia. So she has dystonic posturing of her hands. She has some very subtle abnormal movements around her mouth. She's a little bit slow, and so we thought that there would be also some findings that are, perhaps not normal even for the age of 79. Again, we performed neuroimaging. This is one of her sons. He is completely asymptomatic. He has no signs of Parkinsonism. But again, you can see even here that there are some on imaging that we can show that something is again going on already in these brains. I haven't seen the family again since that time, but Dr. Barnes, he's fine. Yeah, so he's again one of these examples where we see something on the scans, but then they don't go on even after now 11 years to develop the disease. So this takes me almost to the end. So just one word on models. Obviously, there are all sorts of models that we could use to study reduced chromosomes. We have used in the past a fly model, believe it or not, which seems to be very interesting. So this is a fly model of type 1 Parkinsonism. And this is from a very nice paper published a few years ago by Melissa Voss and colleagues. And Melissa has moved to Lübeck and has built up a fly lab in Lübeck. And so she used a knockout fly model of type 1 for her studies, and this is what she got. So this is the knockout. And then I said to her, well, Melissa, this is interesting, but 10% of your fly, so I should tell you, when a fly has Parkinson's disease, they don't shake or, but they can't really fly very well. So this is the phenotype that a fly gets. And so I said to her, but 10% of your flies can still fly very well. So what do these flies do differently from the flies that cannot fly? And so she now did a series of very elaborative crossings of the fly. And this is it. So she has all these parent and offspring pairs. And so she has, on the one extreme, she has flies that cannot fly at all. And on the other extreme, and somehow the y-axis is gone, but this is the percentage of flying ability. So some flies, in some of the offspring pairs, about 50% of the flies can fly. And so these are the interesting ones. So what do they do so well? And so now we are performing an RNA sequencing transcriptome analysis of these extremes of flies, hoping to find modifiers of this flying ability that we can then compare to what we find in humans. And this is we're coming to the future directions. And this is a study that really, I think, is a fascinating one and really caught my attention, and I would like to share this with you. Although you may be surprised, why I'm showing you now a slide on diabetes. And so the reason is that this is, up to my knowledge anyway, the first time that a successful clinical trial was done in an at-risk group. So this was just published in June. And so these authors, they applied an anti-CD3 antibody, tepezimab, to children, actually, average age of 14, who were at risk of developing diabetes. So they had to have 3 risk factors, first degree relative with diabetes, they had to have some oral glucose intolerance already, and some antibodies, but they were not diabetic. And so they used this, and they had a placebo group and a withdrawal group, and the fascinating finding here is that the median time to diagnosis, they all went on to develop diabetes eventually, but the ones that had the antibody developed it after 4 years, was those that had not, that did not get the antibody, developed it after 2 years. So there was a 2-year delay in the onset of diabetes just by applying a 2-week course of an anti-CD3 antibody. And I think this is absolutely spectacular. Hopefully this will hold up. And I think it gives us hope that especially in our degenerative diseases, when we really want to start treating at-risk people in the earliest phases, because we otherwise always come too late, so that perhaps also in the field of Parkinson's, later on in other degenerative diseases, we will be able to start treating at-risk individuals. And of course, as this is all rare mutations and rare cases, it is adamant to work together on a global scale, because otherwise we never have enough numbers to really prove this. And so this is the study that we started undertaking last year with the support of the Michael J. Fox Foundation, and we have already included in this study over 100 centers from more than 40 countries, and we're very much hoping that perhaps some of you will also be interested in joining. And we have already identified 4,500 mutation carriers across the world. And as I explained before, I think it's very important to go across different ethnicities, because there will be different factors at play, and only if we really involve everybody, we can really solve this puzzle over the next, 20 years or so, to be optimistic. And this is my last slide that I wanted to show you. This is again the Chilean family visiting a self-support group in Germany, and I thought this was such a nice, beautiful, slide to finish off with, and to have this motto, which is obviously the most important. We can only we have to work together, and everything has to be, of course, in peace. And this is the Institute, and they are saying hello, and I would like to thank them because I showed you quite a bit of unpublished data. They're supposed to say hello. So and I would like to finish off with the absolutely stunning view of my hotel room here taken last night here in Santiago, and I would like to thank you so much for having me and for your attention. Thank you. I think you want the questions at the end of both talks? Yeah. Okay, so then I'll do that. Oh, and I'll be happy to take any questions from you.
Thank you very much, Christine. La segunda charla, titulada de variantes y diagnósticos genómicos entre certezas e incertidumbres, estará a cargo del Dr. Marcelo Kaufmann, profesor de la Universidad de Buenos Aires y de la Universidad Austral de Buenos Aires. El Dr. Kaufmann es neurólogo y dirige el consultorio y laboratorio de neurogenética del Hospital José María Ramos Mejías de Buenos Aires. Este centro tiene una trayectoria de más de 10 años dedicada a atender a pacientes y familias con enfermedades con un componente neurológico en que se sospecha una fase hereditaria. Bienvenido, Dr. Kaufmann.
Bueno, buen día a todos. Muchas gracias, Leonor, muchas gracias, Marcelo, por la invitación. Es un placer cruzar la cordillera y estar aquí con todos ustedes. Ustedes saben que este siglo es el nacimiento de la medicina. Y el primer anuncio de la secuenciación completa del genoma humano, el primer borrador avanzado de la secuencia del genoma humano, fue tan importante como para que quizás los dos líderes más importantes del mundo en ese momento decidieran hacer un anuncio conjunto en tanto a las implicancias científicas y políticas y tecnológicas y económicas de haber logrado eso. Es claro que era un motivo para festejar y de descorchar una buena botella de champán, y porque daba nacimiento a la medicina genómica. Y la medicina genómica estaba en el imaginario como poder tener a los pies de la cama la secuencia del genoma de un paciente y con eso ya poder resolver todos sus diagnósticos, todos sus tratamientos, todas sus enfermedades. Entonces deberíamos festejar, ¿no? Deberíamos descorchar un buen champán porque teníamos a mano la solución a todos los problemas de salud. Sin embargo, nos encontramos con un cuello de botella. Un cuello de botellas que dificultaba ese descorche, ese disfrute de ese buen champán. Y quizás ese cuello de botella estaba preanunciado por Duran Duran en Too Much Information, ¿no? Demasiada información para poder disfrutar del nacimiento de la medicina genómica. ¿Y cómo puede estar cómo podemos graficarlo? Si vemos esta pantalla, esto es el 0,001% de nuestro genoma, simplemente 3.000 bases representadas acá. Y en esas letras, en esa sucesión de 4 letras, en esa sucesión que por momentos puede parecer agobiante de esas 4 letras, ¿sí?, se encuentran variaciones. Esas variaciones que son las que nos hacen diferentes unos a otros. Y bombas de tiempo. Esas bombas de tiempo que son las que nos enferman, ¿sí? Entonces el desafío está en avanzar de lo que primero pensábamos como una dificultad de cómo obtengo la secuencia de un gen, ¿sí? Cuando nosotros empezamos a hacer medicina, la dificultad era técnica. ¿Cómo obtengo la secuencia de un gen? Y eso nos ajustaba a cómo interpreto un gen, ¿no? Y ese es el punto actual. La dificultad actual, el motivo de susto actual muchas veces es cómo interpreto la información genómica. Entonces, en este momento estamos en un momento de cambio, ¿no? Un momento en el que nos encontramos con muchos avances tecnológicos, nos encontramos con muchas posibilidades técnicas, nos encontramos con la posibilidad de día a día tener la secuencia del genoma de un paciente y tenemos que resolver hacia dónde va a ir este péndulo, ¿no? Entonces estamos en un momento de reflexión quizás, ¿sí? Entonces a mí me gusta decir que estamos ante este cambio de paradigma. Entonces todos nosotros nos formamos en un paradigma clásico, que yo denomino de pico y pala, ¿no? Un paradigma en el que nos encontrábamos con el paciente, ¿sí? Poníamos cara que pensábamos, algunas veces pensábamos, otras veces quedaba en la cara, pero poníamos mucho esfuerzo en la caracterización fenotípica de ese paciente, ¿sí? ¿Para qué? Para luego con la pala, a lo sumo decidir si voy a secuenciar 1 o 2 genes, intentar lograr ahí el diagnóstico de esa enfermedad, ¿no? Entonces el esfuerzo, el pico en la caracterización fenotípica del paciente, la pala en 1 a 2 genes que podía secuenciar en este primer momento, ¿no? Este es el paradigma clásico. Pero yo les decía que estos años lo que han mostrado es una caída rotunda en los costos, avances tecnológicos, ¿no? Entonces en este gráfico podemos ver acá graficadas 3 curvas, ¿no? Y hay dos que son las que nos importan. Una que es la caída en los costos de secuenciación, la caída en los costos de obtener información genética. Entonces ustedes pueden ver que hay un quiebre rotundo hace poco más de 10 años con la irrupción de Next Generation Sequencing, nuevas tecnologías, ¿sí? Y una curva que se mantiene constante, esta curva azul, que es el costo fenotípico. El costo de sentarnos con el paciente, pensar, caracterizar muy bien ese fenotipo. Entonces encontramos que en un momento hay una suerte de cruce entre estas dos curvas, ¿sí? Y donde el costo fenotípico pasa a ser mayor al costo genotípico. O sea, obtener información genética pasa a ser más barato que obtener información fenotípica. Entonces esto nos puede llevar a una inversión, a un dar vuelta al paradigma y empezar de la pala al pico. Es decir, si es más barato obtener información genética que obtener información fenotípica, me voy a encontrar con que la fuerza me va a llevar a que primero tengo el genotipo y luego voy a buscar los fenotipos que me permitan explicar ese genotipo. ¿Sí? Esa es la inversión del paradigma. Ahora bien, yo creo que todavía no estamos ahí. Yo creo que en este momento estamos transitando lo que me gusta denominar paradigma de Moebius, ¿sí? Por la cinta de Moebius, que es continua, pero no fácilmente orientable en el espacio. Entonces yo creo que en este momento estamos transitando en este ida y vuelta entre fenotipo y genotipo constantemente, ¿sí? Pero el título de la presentación era de detectives, ¿no? Y yo creo que el ejercicio de la medicina genómica es de detectives, ¿sí? Que algunos podemos pensar que somos más clásicos como estos detectives, somos más solemnos, somos más racionales como estos detectives. Pero en realidad, ¿sí?, somos detectives de la sangre, ¿no? Porque trabajamos más con muestras sanguíneas y muchas veces nos parecemos más a Dexter. Y Dexter tenía una costumbre en el inicio de su serie de llevarle donuts a la gente que estaba en el laboratorio para caer más simpático de lo que era. Entonces, vamos a presentar unas 10 donas que deberían comer en Santiago, ¿sí? Y vamos a tratar de ilustrar un poquito de qué se trata este trabajo de detectives en la medicina genómica. Entonces tenemos algunos crímenes que son más introductorios, más para principiantes, que son más fáciles, más straightforward, ¿sí? Como por ejemplo esta paciente, una tremenda distonía, ¿sí? Una tremenda distonía cefálica. Y que tiene esa imagen, ¿no? Esa imagen característica del ojo de tigre, ¿no? Entonces sabemos que cuando tenemos esa presentación clínica, esa imagen casi que nos lleva directamente a un único gen que se lleva a la mayor parte de los casos, y son alteraciones en PANC2, ¿sí? Hicimos eso, secuenciamos por Sanger ese gen, encontramos las dos variantes. Otras veces tenemos casos como este, ¿sí?, que están relacionados a la presentación anterior de la doctora Klein, donde lo que tenemos son esas sacudidas mioclónicas, ¿sí?, y distonía ante una tarea específica, donde vemos estos dos hermanos. Entonces observamos los dos hermanos con posturas distónicas, con sacudidas mioclónicas ante tareas específicas, constituyendo lo que es una distonía mioclonus, ¿sí? Y entonces acá lo mismo, acá sabemos que hay un gen que se va a llevar la mayor parte de estos casos, sarcoglicano-E, secuenciamos primero ese gen y encontramos, en este caso una variante, una inserción de un solo nucleótido que cambia el marco de lectura, ¿sí? Tenemos características clínicas, es muy característica la presentación de estos pacientes, de estos crímenes, como para que podamos tener un gen candidato con el que empezar nuestra tarea. Bien, no voy a entrar en lo del imprinting porque eso ya fue magníficamente discutido anteriormente por la doctora Klein. Solamente destacar que además de la importancia para el consejo genético, para el asesoramiento genético, es lo que puede llevar a confundir a veces y pensar que es un trastorno recesivo, porque muchas veces observa solo una generación afectada y las otras generaciones que se saltearon. Bien, a veces tenemos en las novelas policiales esas ficciones que quedan con finales abiertos, ¿no? Y a veces tenemos ficciones criminales que quedan con finales abiertos. Entonces, por ejemplo, este era un paciente que había empezado a los 9 años de edad, 3-4 décadas antes de llegar a la consulta, con un temblor en la mano derecha. Él manifestaba que su primera manifestación había sido un temblor en la mano derecha, ¿sí? Cuando lo observábamos en el examen, digamos un temblor de moderada a baja amplitud, de alta amplitud, perdón, y moderada frecuencia, en las 3 modalidades, tanto en postura, en acción y en reposo, ¿no? Entonces teníamos este gran temblor que aumentaba con los movimientos. Esa era una de las primeras clases, ¿sí? Y lo hacíamos caminar. Además del temblor, empezamos a observar otra característica en esa marcha. Atención a la pierna izquierda, el movimiento que hace. Pareciera que está como pateando, ¿no? Parece que intrometido en la marcha tiene como una patada con la pierna izquierda, ¿sí? Entonces hicimos una secuenciación de exomas. Entonces teníamos un paciente que tenía estas características clínicas que no terminaban de constituir un síndrome particular, con 4 décadas de evolución, en la cual el primer estudio desde el punto de vista genético que se realizó fue una secuenciación de exomas. ¿Y qué encontramos? Encontramos esta deleción, la deleción más frecuente en TOR1A, causante de la distonía de torsión tipo 1. Pero este paciente es muy distinto a los pacientes pediátricos, como quizás uno de los que había ejemplificado la doctora Klein con una distonía generalizada. Es más, este paciente consultaba por temblor, no consultaba por distonía. Y también nosotros sabemos que la particularidad de esta variante, la particularidad de esta alteración es la baja penetrancia, ¿no? Tiene una penetrancia de un 30%. ¿Sí? En la cual hay distintos factores, como mostraba bien la doctora Klein, que explican esta variabilidad en la penetrancia. Entonces, la primera pregunta que nos hacíamos es, el hallazgo de la secuenciación del exoma, el hallazgo de esa variante, que es claramente patogénica, no hay duda que es una variante patogénica, ¿sí? ¿Alcanza para explicar el fenotipo? ¿Alcanza para decir que es la causa del fenotipo que estábamos observando en este paciente, que claramente era atípico para lo conocido para las distonías de torsión tipo 1? ¿Sí? Entonces, la pregunta era, ¿este hallazgo es causante de enfermedad o es meramente incidental? ¿Sí? Entonces volvamos a dar la marcha. Y esa patada es una manifestación distónica. Eso es distónico, ¿sí? Esa patada en la marcha es una de las manifestaciones de distónica. ¿Sí? Entonces, había características distónicas en el fenotipo de este paciente, había un comienzo en la primera década, había un comienzo en miembros, ¿sí? Como él había manifestado, ¿sí? Y había otra de las características de los trastornos distónicos, que cambiando el programa motor mejoran notoriamente, como este paciente andando en bicicleta, ¿sí? Y podemos observar, además del temblor, una postura distónica en la mano derecha. ¿Sí? Y también sabemos desde la semiología clásica que muchas veces los trastornos distónicos mejoran con otras actividades como caminar para atrás o correr, ¿sí? Que este paciente también lo tiene. ¿Sí? Entonces, ¿sí? Y encontramos otros casos, obviamente, en los cuales la manifestación puede ser más tremorígena en tipo 1 o en TOR1A, desórdenes relacionados con TOR1A. Bien. Sin embargo, nunca hay que olvidar esto, ¿no? Que solamente la certidumbre, la certeza es una ilusión. Lo que siempre va a estar presente es la incertidumbre. La incertidumbre forma parte de la vida y forma parte de nuestro ejercicio médico, ¿no? Entonces, podemos pensar que esta variante es con alto grado de confianza causante del trastorno en este paciente. Sin embargo, debemos guardar una cuota de incertidumbre, ¿sí?, en virtud de la presentación atípica, en virtud de la penetrancia reducida de esta variante. Y también en todas las historias detectives tenemos siempre los sospechosos de siempre, ¿no? Los sospechosos de siempre, que siempre son los primeros que vamos a ir a buscar. Entonces, por ejemplo, teníamos este paciente. El paciente estaba casi inmóvil, ¿no?, en una postura tónica, sostenida, casi sin movimiento, ingresado en la unidad de cuidados psiquiátricos como una catatonía. Ese era el diagnóstico que habían manejado los psiquiatras. Un paciente con una presentación catatónica. ¿Sí? Había sido ingresado a psiquiatría como una catatonía estuporosa, no respondía a drogas antipsicóticas, ¿sí?, y habían empezado a discutir con la familia terapia electroconvulsiva para sacarlo de esa catatonía. ¿Sí? Sin embargo, cuando se reinternó un poco a la familia y a los allegados al paciente, se pone en evidencia que había habido cambios conductuales meses antes del ingreso, que había una historia familiar, no del todo confiable, pero sugestiva, de que había movimientos anormales y trastornos psiquiátricos en la rama paterna de este paciente. Entonces ya nos encontramos un paciente en el cual había trastornos de conductas previos y en los cuales había antecedentes de trastorno del movimiento en la familia. En las neuroimágenes tenía una atrofia marcada de caudal. Entonces, primer diagnóstico a excluir, enfermedad de Huntington. Y era un número muy grande de expansión, una expansión muy grande que en realidad no era una catatonía, sino que era una presentación aquineto-rígida extrema que simulaba esa catatonía. ¿Sí? Bien. Y veamos esta paciente. Es una paciente de 80 años con movimientos involuntarios, oromasticatorios, manuales en piernas. ¿Sí? De 86 años, había comenzado a los 82 años con estos movimientos, inicialmente en cara, inicialmente en miembros superiores, un año después, compromiso en miembros inferiores. Historia familiar no representativa, no importante, no informativa, diagnóstico diferencial, enfermedad de Huntington, 32 repeticiones. ¿Sí? ¿Qué son 32 repeticiones? Sabemos que por debajo de 27, por debajo de 27, sí, bien digo, no va a haber manifestaciones de la enfermedad. ¿Sí? Sabemos que tenemos un rango inestable en el número de repeticiones entre 27 y 35, en los cuales tenemos el riesgo de un aumento en este número de repeticiones en generaciones subsiguientes, y que casi en forma absoluta no va a manifestar el paciente que nosotros tenemos por delante, o el sujeto que nosotros tenemos por delante. Y sabemos que tenemos un rango de penetrancia incompleta, en el cual, dependiendo de la extensión de la vida de ese sujeto, va a manifestar o no la sintomatología entre 36 y 39. Entonces nuestra paciente estaba en el rango de 32, no era un rango ni siquiera de penetrancia incompleta. Entonces, de nuevo, ¿alcanza esto para explicar la sintomatología en términos diagnósticos de la paciente? Entonces, siguiendo en el mismo tema de modificación de la penetrancia y demás, sabemos que hoy cada vez estamos reconociendo más ciertas manifestaciones clínicas sutiles en aquellos que tienen este número de repeticiones en los rangos mutables o de penetrancia incompleta. De hecho, si uno compara aquellos sujetos en los cuales tienen alelos intermedios y aquellos que no tienen alelos intermedios, y deja que tengan más de 60 años de vida, ¿sí?, empieza a observar cierta disfunción motora en el examen neurológico de estos sujetos. ¿Sí? Entonces, pensamos que en este caso la explicación más plausible, ¿sí?, considerando acá desde un punto de vista de parsimonioso como siendo lo más simple, o lo más rápido quizás, lo que ustedes prefieran, es que sea una enfermedad de Huntington de un comienzo muy tardío. Pero de nuevo, el caso anterior y este yo creo que deben ser considerados como ficciones de final abierto. ¿Sí? Bien, no olvidar de esto, pues seguimos diciendo. Y veamos estos pacientes. Veamos, estos son dos hermanos. Quiero que presten atención a esta postura, ¿sí?, sostenida, de pronación de un miembro y de extensión del otro. Estos movimientos coreicos distales que presenta esta paciente, que es la hermana. Entonces son dos hermanos con corea y compromiso cognitivo, ¿sí?, en los cuales obviamente primero se descartó enfermedad de Huntington, no tenían enfermedad de Huntington. De la hermana, además del movimiento coreico hay cierta coordinación, hay cierta ataxia. Entonces ya tenemos corea, tenemos compromiso cognitivo, tenemos ataxia. El hermano un poco menos marcado, pero también está presente. ¿Sí? Entonces él tenía 58 años, había empezado a los 40 años con manifestaciones psiquiátricas. Depresión, aislamiento social, apatía. Corea, que empezó 5 años después, o sea, primero síntomas psiquiátricos, luego el trastorno del movimiento. En forma conjunta fue instalando una discapacidad intelectual, una demencia, alucinaciones visuales, incontinencia urinaria. Ella, de 42 años, había empezado a los 17 años con alucinaciones visuales y auditivas. ¿Sí? 20 años después habían comenzado el trastorno del movimiento, en forma de corea. ¿Sí? Y también instaló una demencia. Entonces tenemos dos hermanos afectados por un trastorno que comenzó con síntomas psiquiátricos que, con variabilidad en el intervalo entre el inicio de estos síntomas psiquiátricos y la aparición de trastornos del movimiento que incluyen corea, que incluyen cierto componente atáxico, ¿sí?, y discapacidad intelectual, demencia. Diagnóstico diferencial, workup. Sigamos revisando los pacientes. Entonces empezamos a hablar del movimiento de los ojos. ¿Sí? En el plano horizontal, están quizás ligeramente enlentecidos esos acálicos, pero están conservados. Pero esto es como que estás leyendo una novela y vas a leer la última página. Dejamos un poco más de misterio. Entonces hay una dificultad, sobre todo en el plano vertical. ¿Sí? En la hermana se ve un poco mejor, se ven más conservados todavía los movimientos en el plano horizontal. Los movimientos oculocefálicos están conservados, o sea, no hay una paresia. Y hay una dificultad en la mirada vertical. ¿Sí? Niemann-Pick tipo C. Entonces el diagnóstico de estos dos hermanos fue una enfermedad de Niemann-Pick tipo C. ¿Sí? Bien, veamos este registro de la historia clínica informatizada. En el que lo que tenemos es una ataxia, ¿no? Entonces tenemos una ataxia que afecta a 3 miembros de una misma generación, ¿sí?, sugestiva de un mecanismo de herencia recesivo. Y miren los ojos. Ahí. Miren esos movimientos, esas intuiciones acádicas son ondas cuadradas. Entonces tenemos una ataxia afectando a 3 hermanos con ondas cuadradas en la observación o en la evaluación de los movimientos oculares. Bien. Esta inestabilidad en la fijación, estas ondas cuadradas, son muy características de la ataxia de Friedrich, ¿sí? Y eso fue lo que tenía nuestra paciente. Nuestra paciente tenía una ataxia de Friedrich de comienzo bien tardío. ¿Por qué? Por un número de repeticiones mucho menor a la que suelen tener los pacientes que tienen su comienzo en la edad juvenil, que es lo más frecuente. Bien, veamos este paciente. Otro paciente con ataxia, ¿sí? Una familia muy rica, 3 generaciones afectadas, ¿sí? Pero una ataxia de comienzo a los 10 años, con una evolución bastante agresiva. En 10 años ya necesitaba ayuda para deambular y a los 23 años ya estaba en silla de ruedas, ¿sí? Entonces tenemos una ataxia dominante, ¿sí? Con un curso relativamente agresivo, mayor a lo que esperamos en general para las ataxias espinocerebelosas dominantes más frecuentes en la población. Con esos movimientos faciales, ¿sí? Son mioquimias, son movimientos mioclónicos. Aquí tenemos esa ataxia. Y miren los movimientos oculares. Ahí se le está pidiendo, se le está haciendo el seguimiento. Ya ven que ese seguimiento está sumamente enlentecido. El seguimiento está sumamente enlentecido y ahora le estamos pidiendo movimientos sacádicos en el plano horizontal y son extremadamente lentos. Entonces, diagnóstico diferencial es una ataxia espinocerebelosa, ¿sí? Estamos de acuerdo, es una ataxia espinocerebelosa dominante con movimientos sacádicos en el plano horizontal extremadamente lentos, ¿sí? Y en el cual encontramos un número de repeticiones excesivamente aumentado en ataxina 2. Es una ataxia espinocerebelosa tipo 2, ¿sí? En la cual tenía una edad de presentación bien temprana, lo cual es sumamente atípico, empezar en la primera década de la vida como este paciente, por ese número de repeticiones. Datos clínicos que nos ayudan a sospechar ataxia espinocerebelosa tipo 2, movimientos sacádicos horizontales muy lentos, ¿sí? Y la presencia de mioclonos, la presencia de movimientos anormales como tenía nuestro paciente. Bien. A veces para las investigaciones no alcanza con que el paciente llegue a nuestra consulta. A veces necesitamos ir a la casa del paciente, a veces necesitamos una orden de entrar en la casa de este paciente, de este sujeto. Entonces viene esta paciente. Esa es la casa. Está tremendamente atáxica y créanme que no había tomado alcohol, no es producto de una borrachera que estaba en esta condición. Entonces vemos a la paciente tremendamente atáxica, no puede caminar por sus propios medios, ¿sí? Y cuando viene a la consulta prácticamente normal, es otra mujer, ¿sí? Entonces la paciente nos refería a muchos de estos episodios de ataxia severa. Entonces esto constituye una ataxia episódica, ¿sí? Y dentro de las ataxias episódicas, esta es una ataxia episódica tipo 2 causada por mutaciones en el canal de calcio. Y esto tiene implicancias terapéuticas, porque sabemos que estos pacientes responden muy bien a acetazolamida, por ejemplo, ¿sí? Bien. Miramos este chiquito. También un video en la casa, severamente atáxico, pero con algo más que el ataque. El chiquito está sufriendo, tiene una mueca de dolor, ¿sí? Tiene una mueca de bastante disconfort. Y cuando lo vemos en la consulta, normal, es otro paciente. Nuevamente, episodios de ataxia severa con resolución casi completa. ¿Sí? Entonces, de nuevo una ataxia episódica y tiene familia, digamos la hermanita. Ese es el padre que cuenta unas crisis también de giro y dolor y mucha fatiga, ¿sí? Y la hermanita con la misma mueca. Entonces algo que estaba presente en los tres, ya sea verbalizándolo como en el padre o ya sea infiriéndolo como en la mueca, es la presencia de dolor durante estos episodios, ¿sí? A su vez tenían presencia de epilepsia, Y ambos tenían cierto grado de discapacidad intelectual. Mutación puntual en un canal de sodio tipo 2A. ¿Sí? Causa de ataxia episódica con epilepsia, ¿sí? Con discapacidad intelectual en algunos casos. O sea, bien lo que presentaban estos pacientes. Y, en coincidencia con otros reportes, muchos de los pacientes con alteraciones en este canal de sodio suelen tener en los episodios también dolor. Y esa es otra de las claves fenotípicas para sospechar esto. De nuevo, esto tenía implicancias terapéuticas porque nos podía hacer pensar que con un bloqueante de canal de sodio, esta era una mutación en ganancia de función, los pacientes iban a andar mejor y así fue. Un bonus track, ¿sí? Vean esta chiquita también en una filmación casera, con esa postura distónica de ambos miembros superiores, ¿sí? Carácter episódico de estos eventos, muy repetidos, muchos por semana, mutación en otro canal de sodio, en este caso el canal de sodio tipo 8A, ¿sí? Una mutación de nodo, como muchas veces suele suceder en los trastornos en las primeras décadas de la vida, de inicio en las primeras décadas de la vida. Y de nuevo, si uno puede tener evidencia, si esto es una ganancia de función, uno puede inferir alternativas terapéuticas para estos casos. Pero bueno, siempre hay espacio para la mejora, ¿no? Siempre hay oportunidad de mejorar, ¿sí? Siempre se puede inventar la rueda y tenemos que estar abiertos a incorporar la rueda en nuestras actividades, ¿sí? Entonces, pensemos dónde puede estar el espacio de mejora para que realmente podamos llegar a la medicina genómica, como hablábamos al principio, ¿no? Entonces, ¿cómo puede llegar a ser la medicina genómica en el 2020, entre el 2020 y el 2030, ¿no? Sin embargo, ya Lao Tzu dijo que aquellos que tienen conocimiento no hacen predicciones, y los que hacen predicciones son los que no tienen conocimiento, ¿sí? Entonces, claramente no tengo conocimiento, por lo que voy a hacer una predicción, ¿sí? Creo que parte de la clave de dónde está el gap, dónde tenemos el déficit, está en este gráfico, ¿sí? Entonces, cuando hablábamos del primer paradigma, del paradigma clásico, era un paradigma claramente determinista, ¿sí? Era un paradigma en el que pensábamos que una alteración puntual en un gen, ¿sí?, determinaba un fenotipo. Y cada vez estamos aprendiendo más que la genética no es determinista. Muy por el contrario, ¿sí? En el mejor de los casos podemos pensarla como probabilística, no como determinista, ¿sí? La excelente charla de la doctora Klein mostró eso en gran manera, ¿no? En gran manera esa variabilidad en la penetrancia es pensar esto, pensar en un continuo, pensar en probabilidades de penetrancia, ¿sí? ¿Y cuáles pueden ser los factores? Bueno, tenemos muchos factores. Tenemos, más allá de la variabilidad genómica, tenemos variabilidad intergenomas en nuestro cuerpo, ¿sí? Nosotros somos mucho más que un genoma, ¿sí? Nuestro cuerpo está permanentemente presentando mutaciones. Somos un conjunto de mutaciones somáticas, ¿sí? Por lo tanto somos un conjunto de genomas. Entonces ahí ya tenemos una fuente de variabilidad. Si pensamos en términos de las mutaciones en el genoma mitocondrial que presentaba la doctora Klein, es otra fuente de variabilidad. Luego tenemos variabilidad célula a célula, ¿sí? Mismos genomas tienen distintas manifestaciones de una célula a otra. Entonces tenemos una gran fuente de variabilidad, ¿sí? Entonces solo cuando podamos entender y tener acceso a toda esa variabilidad es cuando el paradigma va a terminar de invertirse y vamos a poder partir del genotipo y llegar con confianza a un fenotipo, ¿sí? Eso es lo que necesitamos. Entonces, ¿hacia dónde va la medicina genómica? Es a tener esas herramientas, tener el conocimiento para que podamos fehacientemente invertir el paradigma, ¿sí? Mientras tanto, estamos meramente en la superficie, ¿no? Yo no soy Bradley Cooper, ¿sí?, pero puedo decir que estamos en la superficie y no más que eso, ¿sí? Así que bueno, muchas gracias. Esta es parte de la gente que trabaja conmigo en mi equipo y algunos de los colaboradores nacionales e internacionales con los que trabajamos. Así que muchas gracias y nuevamente agradecido por la oportunidad de estar aquí. Vamos ahí.
Gracias. Gracias, doctor Kaufman. Doctora Klein. Preguntas. Pueden hacer las preguntas en español y la doctora Bustamante las traduce. Ahí.
Thank you. I'm Ricardo Barujo from the Institute of Biomedical Sciences, and I had a question for Dr. Klein. From what I understood in your talk, all of the cases where the patients, although they didn't have the phenotype or the disease, they have some endogenous phenotypes, I think, or so milder forms of phenotypes. Have you ever been faced with the situation where in your institute someone was came into the health system because of something completely different, and then it was sequenced and they found a mutation for one of the diseases that you are studying, and the person was completely normal, which will be like, I don't even know if that is an incidental finding because the person is not sick, so I don't know whether that has happened at any point, and what are the ethical guidelines in those cases? Do you communicate that to the person or not? How do you deal with that situation?
Thank you for this very, very important question, which is really a problem in clinical practice. And I think we are just now seeing a bit of a paradigm shift, perhaps. As before, as you know, we started out by sequencing a single gene and then maybe another one, and then we stopped if we didn't. So nowadays, obviously, it's different. We have the panels. And I can tell you, for example, one study that we have been working on for the past year, we can offer our patients, first of all, our true hotspot testing, then GBA sequencing, and then a panel of 69 movement disorders genes. And it's really in a quarter of the patients we find something, and it's very hard to interpret. It's exactly as we started out your talk. It's very, very difficult. So I remember, for example, one case, and we will now have monthly meetings with all of the clinicians involved and the geneticists to try to make sense out of those. For example, we have one case with Parkinson's who has 4 different mutations, 2 in the dystonia gene, by the way. Then sometimes they're technical, as you say, they're technical problems. So for example, sometimes we don't know the phase, so we don't know when it's a recessive condition, are they on the same allele or on different alleles? So sometimes we go on in the lab to try and clarify, and this can be difficult at times. We've been cloning, we've been doing 3rd-generation sequencing. Regarding the last part of your question, whenever we are unsure, we do not tell the patient. Because, we are confused, and there's no reason, and I think it's not fair to confuse the patient. So, and when we counsel them before the study, we tell them that we will likely find, because this is a likely outcome, we will likely find something that we cannot yet interpret, but that we will inform them if we're very interested of something clinically relevant where we can be sure, like, for example, a LRRK2 mutation, although even that is problematic because that could be reduced penetrance. So at this point, for our policy is to go really just with the confirmed pathogenic mutations or genes, and anything else that we find is more on a research basis, and then we follow up on it as much as we can. Whether or not this is ideal, I think no, but it's a moving target.
Thank you.
I just think it's extremely important to be open and transparent and explain the patient, because I think they can understand that there is something that may be difficult to interpret. They understand that, but I don't think it's fair to tell them I will know or I don't know, because in fact now I tell them even when we find something, it could be that this changes. For example, if something is being found where the frequency in whatever population it is where we don't know yet the frequency is very, very common, then it could be changing. Even a positive finding could be changed to something negative, and vice versa. So I'm very upfront to the patients and try to really explain in the background how difficult it is, and that there is no black and white genetics.
Thank you so much. I wanted to ask Christine, studying the modifier genes, so the causes for reduced penetrance, super interesting, and I wanted to know why you chose dystonia. What's the scientific reason, practical, or both?
Both, I think. So first of all, dystonia, I grew up in the lab of Sandra Brakefield and Laurie Zelius where they found the DYT1 gene. I came just after they found it, so dystonia has always been very close to my heart. It's always a matter, obviously, of having enough samples to be able to start, and so this is why one main reason, but like I said, I'm also very, very interested in dystonia, and dystonia I think is a good paradigm because most dystonia, forms of dystonia are inherited in a dominant fashion, and reduced penetrance is present in practically every single form. And we were obviously also encouraged by the, I guess, the SGCE imprinting story. That was, I guess, a very low-hanging fruit. This is not something we can, expect to find. But on the other hand, it's encouraging. I mean, to find a positive GWAS signal in 50 cases, and I think there's more to be done. And but I think it should be done for all conditions. And I think there could be mechanisms like repeat expansions, like gene expression, like there could be things that are very common across, common mechanisms explaining reduced penetrance. And I think that's something we should really, really pay more attention to.
The short answer is we don't know, but it's hard to put into consideration environmental factor in order to model, in order to interpret the variability in penetrance, because I like to say that environmental factors are many times overestimated, or many times they are mentioned as important in variability, because it's easier to say that than to measure them. So that is my main concern with the study of environmental factors. The other thing is that I think most of the variability is into the cells and into development. I think both of that are the main factors influencing the variability that you can observe in phenotypes. For instance, if you are studying the genetic of higher order function, for instance, if you are studying the genetics of behavior, yes, and you have a lot of studies, or a lot of twin studies, a lot of reapart siblings, where you find difference and you try to assign that difference because of environmental factors. But as a matter of fact, perhaps the main important factor is the difference is in the developmental program of both siblings. So I'm not too optimistic about having a good model to study the environmental factor as modifier, but they might have some role, but it's hard to dissect them. I don't know what you think.
No, I totally agree with you, although I think it's a shame. I think there would probably be a lot to learn, and I think it's getting even more complex as I think there will be gene-environment interactions. And for example, when it comes to epigenetic modification, the environment clearly plays a role. I mean, we know this really even from simple mice studies. But as you say, I think it's almost impossible to discern at this point. Although, really, when I started genetics, it was completely, out of reach to sequence a genome, or even just an exome, or even just a big stretch. So we were, it was so cumbersome. And perhaps somebody can be so, creative to find ways of, and I think, for example, studying the metabolome in a way could reflect part of your environmental exposures, although it's always cross-sectional, so that's the other problem. Genetics is nice. We have our cross-sectional, but with environment, obviously, it's an evolving and moving target. So, yeah, it's very difficult, but we should not give up on it. think it's absolutely key. I think it really is key. I mean, we know that populations differ, vastly, and and it really is important in terms of interpreting variants again. I mean, for example, there is, let's take the LER2 mutation in the Arab Berber population or the Ashkenazi Jewish population. It's so common that you would disregard it, as a mutation, because the American guidelines will say, this is too common to be a pathogenic variant. And so you have to take this into account. And I think we're really only seeing the tip of the iceberg at this point. So, for example, it just turned out through another collaboration with colleagues from Southeast Asia, it turns out that there seems to be a founder population of PINK1 mutation carriers. Again, it's found in 6% of the controls there, but it seems to be a really pathogenic mutation. We need to know these exact figures. You cannot just go on EXAC or NOMAD or something and say, this is the figures. The figures will mostly be from white Caucasians. And still, I mean, it's getting better, but I think this is a problem because we simply differ, and that's also, I guess, not just a challenge, but it's also really an opportunity to understand the genetic factors better.
I fully agree, and from this part of the view, we have to remark the importance of having own genetic data, having the responsibility of obtain good genetic data of our population that has its particularities as any population in the world. So we have to work together in that. Yes?
Le agradecemos a todos su presencia y esperamos que este primer encuentro sea el inicio de la creación de nuevos vínculos que permitan que se siga desarrollando la ciencia de excelencia tanto en la facultad como en el hospital. Muchas gracias.